Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Chromebook Classroom Podcast. It's great to be back. I took a little time off over the summer. Haven't recorded an episode since I think May. June and July have been busy. My wife and I purchased a piece of property in northern Michigan a couple years ago, and we have been slowly turning that property into a campground. So most of the last couple of months, June and July, have been spent up at the campground working on things, putting in a well, a septic system, cabins, tents, and things like that. So that's coming along, but back to school season is just around the corner. So the campground project will take backseat for a little while as I get back into consulting and teacher training workshops to kick off the school year. Hope you had a restful summer. Those of you in the South are starting the school year. Those of us in the Midwest still have a few weeks of summer yet to go. During this episode, we're going to be talking about all of the latest updates to your favorite Google and other ed tech products. Got a little bit of time to catch up on since I haven't recorded one of these in a while. I am streaming this episode live on YouTube as well. So if you'd like to see some of these updates in action, you can head over to my YouTube channel and watch. Or if you're a listener, if you're on the treadmill, walking the dog, or listening on your commute, you can listen in and I'll give you the updates verbally as well. Every month, I scan through Google's updates and Twitter and blogs to find the best ed tech updates, links, tools, and resources that you can use in your classroom. And without further ado, let's check out my top 10 links for August 2023. You can access all of these links on my website if you want to actually click through and read through the articles and check out the updates, get the templates. You can get this exact page right over on my website, chrmbook.com. Want to thank VIZOR for Chromebooks for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Appreciate their support. VIZOR has updated a bunch of stuff for the 2023-24 school year. So if you are managing Chromebooks, VIZOR is a great asset management tool. We'll talk a little bit more about them later in the show. All right, let's jump into our first update. This is a big one. We have been waiting for this for a very long time. This is from the Google Workspace update blog. This says that when creating a new assignment, teachers can now decide whether or not to require a strict due date. Yes, after many, many years of requesting it, you now have the ability to lock an assignment. And you'll just see a button appear right underneath the due date area of Google Classroom where it says close submission after due date. And that's up to you. It's off by default. You can enable it if you want to. If you don't pick a due date, then that feature won't appear. This has just arrived in my personal Google Classroom account, which I'm grateful for. And it did show up in a couple different ways than I anticipated. Let me log in to my account and see if I can do a demo. For assignments, it's pretty straightforward, but for discussion posts, it was in a little bit different area that I wanted to point out. So let me open up a class. I've been teaching a lot of virtual courses this year, just wrapping up a couple of them. The Google Certification Academy, and then I've got 4 online courses going on right now for a school district. Let me jump into a discussion question. And those of you who are listening, I'll describe this. So for discussions, you'll see the late response option underneath the student answers. And it's kind of hidden. So you open up your discussion question, and then you'll see just a little toggle switch that says accepting submissions. So if you want to lock your discussion board, you just turn that off, and then students won't be able to post a comment. So it's about time that this feature has been added. It's been a long time coming, very, very requested feature. So I'm glad that Google has added it. And you have the option. If you like the ability to receive student questions at any time, you can keep doing that. If you want the ability to lock assignments, as many teachers have asked for, you've got that option now as well. All right, update number 2 is also related to Google Classroom. And this is going to be a really great feature for administrators and instructional techs. So I'm in my Google Classroom account right now, and at the top of Google Classroom, it says visit a class. You now have the ability to access someone else's class without the requirement of being added as a co-teacher. The co-teacher feature has been there forever. The problem is that when you are a co-teacher, you get all the emails, document submissions, comments. It's just a lot of information that you really don't need. If you're a principal and you just want to be able to pop into a teacher class occasionally, this is going to be a marvelous new option. You can access the class of a teacher or the class of a student. So if you're a guidance counselor and you want to know how many missing assignments does so-and-so have, you can enter that student's name and see all of their courses and missing work. This is a new feature. This feature here does require the Education Plus or Teaching and Learning versions of Google Classroom. It is giving me some trouble. So let me try and see if it's working today. So you click visit class, then you type in the name of a student or a teacher. Just do myself. But I'm having some issues. I submitted this to Google. All I'm getting is a blank screen. So I'm not actually able to see the classes right now. So I don't know if, obviously, there's a bug in here that needs to be resolved and fixed up. Hopefully Google will get that figured out in short order. In order to use not everybody can just use this feature. There's 2 requirements. Number 1, your school has to be using the premium version of Google Workspace. Number 2, you do need a administrative role. There's a special role that an IT administrator has to create and then assign to your user account before you'll be able to just visit any class. The teacher, the student will get an email notification indicating that someone has visited their class. That's just a privacy notification so that you can't sneak in. It should be clear to the user why you're visiting and whatnot. So that'll be very helpful ahead of the upcoming school year. Google's trying to make Google Classroom more friendly to school administrators and instructional techs. All right, next up, we've got another Google update, but this one is a brand new product. I did include this in the May 10 links. This is called Notebook LM. This is an experimental product being worked on by Google. LM stands for Language Model. Google announced this experimental project, I think at Google I/O in early May. And it looks pretty interesting. Let me zoom in. Here's a screenshot of it. So it looks a little bit like Google Keep. This is a tool that will allow users to take notes for lectures and different classes. But because it has artificial intelligence built in, you can ask the AI bot a question, and it will answer your question based on the notes that you've taken. So it will summarize things and pull relevant information out. So this essentially is a personal chat GPT. Rather than it searching the web, it's searching through your notes. This is not publicly available yet. It is experimental. You can sign up to be a beta tester of this. I do not have access yet, but I'm very curious to see what this would look like. I could think of some potential uses for it. Looks to be aimed more at the college audience. Obviously, the more notes you have, the more insights and things you can pull out of the tool. So something to keep an eye on. I'm interested to see where this goes. It would make a lot of sense to me if they would integrate this into Google Keep. That's where I put my notes currently. This would be a nice bonus feature, but that's just speculation on my part. All right, let's go down to link number 4. It seems like almost every month I've got a resource to share from Google Arts and Culture. No exception this month. This is a special exhibit on Leonardo da Vinci. It's quite enjoyable to explore. Leonardo da Vinci was a prolific writer, artist, thinker, and his various works are scattered in more than 20 museums around the world. Now, I don't have time. You probably don't have time to visit all 20 museums. So Google Arts and Culture has compiled digital versions of all of these things in one location. And this exhibit is called Inside a Genius Mind. It allows you to explore all of his sketches, learn about the Mona Lisa and some of his other famous artworks. Just kind of explore some of the interesting things that he did. You don't even realize how much of an impact Da Vinci has had in various areas of art and science. And you can explore some of these things. So really cool if you're doing anything related to STEM education, famous inventors, design thinking. Leonardo da Vinci would be a great example of someone to model after. And all of these exhibits are really cool. So that's part of Google Arts and Culture. Check it out. Let's move into a more technical update. Kevin Toffel over at aboutchromebooks.com. Kevin loves Chromebooks and does a lot of interesting research and blogging about them. It is his belief that Google is preparing to release lacrosse into the wild. Now, if you have been listening to the podcast for a long time, you may remember probably a year and a half ago, I did a very detailed episode on a secret project Google started called lacrosse. Now, lacrosse is an acronym, stands for Linux and Chrome OS. Essentially, for the last 2 years, Google has been working to make the Linux version of the Chrome browser the primary browser on Chrome devices. Right now, the operating system and the browser are tied together, so Google cannot update them independently. Based on some things that Kevin has discovered with the latest update to Chrome OS 116, which I just got, he says, clearly something is changing with Chrome OS 116. Some of the flags are disappearing, which means that it appears that lacrosse is poised to become the primary browser on Chromebooks. Again, this is something that we've been thinking and hearing a lot about for years, and it may be coming this school year. If Google does things well, this will be completely irrelevant for your users. It'll just work the way it always has worked. Most people won't even notice. What it does allow is Google will be able to push updates out independently for the browser and the operating system, which will allow it to extend the length of updates and make sure that security patches come out as often as necessary. There's some other side benefits, but those are the big things. If you're an IT administrator, there are a few things you will likely need to adjust in the admin console once this rolls out to everyone. Google has to give us notice for this. There's many settings that will have to be adjusted to ensure that the policies that you are using currently continue to apply to this new browser format. So we'll keep an eye on that, and of course you'll hear it from me if this does indeed happen. I've got to make a lot of adjustments for the schools that I work with, and I will pass those updates and suggestions on to you as well. The new school year is just around the corner, so I put together some of my favorite resources for the back to school season. If you're a classroom teacher, these are definitely geared for you. First off, each year I review and update my essential student technology skill checklist. This checklist contains a list of what I deem to be critical skills that all students should master. Now, these aren't, terribly exciting. They're stuff that everybody should know. That's why they're essential. For elementary students, understanding the keyboard, spacebar, backspace, enter, how to do a capital letter, the @ symbol, clicking, left, right click, mouse drag, things like that. At the middle and high school level, organizing files in Google Drive, joining a class, turning in assignments, essential skills that students need to know in order to be successful during the school year. Now, this free guide is available on my website. This guide is for teachers. So what I recommend is you print out this guide, and these are the things that you need to mention or help your students explore in the first few weeks of the school year. You can't get mad at them for not turning in their work if they don't know how to do it. And if you ask how many of you don't know how to turn in something via Google Classroom, no one is going to raise their hand. So you kind of have to just build this instruction into your assignments for the first few weeks so that your students are set up for success. I have updated this for the 23-24 school year, added a few things, took a few things off. And so this is just, again, a helpful guide. If every teacher teaches these things, you'll have a successful year. This is over and above, if you're the media specialist or you teach a technology class. There's additional, more advanced things I think you should be spending your time on. These should be taught, by each teacher as they come up in the classroom. Logging in, logging out, changing your password, things like that. You can find that list and download a copy from my website. Just Google 10 links, August 2023, and you'll find it listed in there. One of my favorite back to school activities is the selfie card activity. This is a great get to know you activity, and it does give you an opportunity to test some of those essential tech skills. Do students know how to create a new Google slide presentation? Do they know how to insert an image? Do they know how to submit an assignment? Things like that. This is very simple. Basically, you're making these little selfie cards, kind of like a baseball card about yourself. There's all kind of fun, fancy things that you can do. Here's some examples I did with a school a couple years ago. You can get this template using your classroom, get some tips and other things as well. This isn't really an academic assignment. This is more an icebreaker and how much technology do you know? And so I don't give a lot of tech instruction for this. I just throw students into it. And if they struggle, that gives me an insight. It's like, okay, we're going to need to do some additional training before they're going to be able to do this successfully. So this will be a good barometer to help you understand what type of skills your students currently have. Another resource that I want to share with you for the back to school season is a warning. This is an article from Chrome Unboxed. This is by Robbie Payne. And just a warning and reminder that some back to school Chromebook deals are not as good as they might seem. This is the time of year where back to school supplies make their appearance in the front of Target and Walmart and all the other retail stores. And you might see some great deals, especially on like Amazon for Chromebooks. Be aware that if a deal is too good, it might in fact be not the best deal. All Chromebooks have an expiration date. It's the AUE date, automatic expiration date. And that means after that date, Chromebooks will no longer receive updates from Google. This is very much related to what we just talked about with lacrosse. If a device has reached its AUE date or is approaching its AUE date, the manufacturers will rapidly discount it. It's pretty easy to find a Chromebook on Amazon for $99, $79. But you need to be very cautious because that Chromebook may only be receiving updates for Google for 1 year, 16 months, something like that. Now, 16 months of updates for $79 It's not terrible. You just need to be aware of what you're getting. If you're trying to buy a computer and you want it to last 4 years, it's not going to happen. Now you can check this by accessing the official AUE date. So if you search for Chromebook AUE, this first link here, auto update policy, is what you're looking for. This will take you to a table, and as long as you have the model number, you can look up when that device expires. So, for example, some of these HP Chromebooks have been around for a little while. So, Chromebook 14 G5, this one expires June of 2024, just under a year from now. That device, if you find it, might be listed for sale for $99, $79, but just be aware you're only going to get about a year of updates from it. So that's just my warning and advice. If you're buying Chromebooks, if you're in the market, if you see a great deal, just be aware that not all deals are as good as they might seem. Couple more updates for you. My friend Alice Keeler always puts out some good stuff, and she just published a list of 6 technologies to try in the upcoming school year. Now, what I really appreciate about this list from Alice is she is focused on pedagogy and student engagement. She's not just recommending 6 flashy tools. In fact, some of these are pretty old tools. They've been around for a long time. But these are tools that will actually improve instruction within your classroom. Number 1 tool she lists is Book Creator. It's a great product for designing digital books and displays that will help students become more creative. Second tool is Flipgrid, Microsoft Flip, which is a great tool for reflection. Even if you're a Google Chromebook using district, you can still utilize Flip. You can log in with Google, works very well with Google Classroom and Chromebooks. So even though it's Microsoft product, don't rule it out. Padlet is tool number 3. Padlet is one of the original EdTech tools, been around forever, but it's still great because it gives students a voice. Alice's 4th tool is Quizzes, a tool for student engagement, helping them with assessment. Number 5 is Google Arts and Culture, which is to explore beyond the textbook. We just referenced arts and culture with the Leonardo da Vinci exhibit. Great resource. And then finally, Edpuzzle's tool number 6, which is a great tool for increasing feedback and providing some good video content to students. So those are Alice's 6 tools. Encourage you to read through her blog and to see the rationale for why she selected those 6 tools. I appreciate that Alice is very thoughtful in the tools that she recommends. Her goal is always to engage and challenge students, not just use the next shiny thing. Final link for this month is a video that I just put together on comparing Jamboard and I've talked a little bit about FigJam for the last 6 months or so. FigJam is an awesome tool for open-ended collaboration. If you're familiar with Jamboard, you can sketch, draw, doodle, things like that. If you like Jamboard, you will love FigJam. It has a lot more advanced features than Jamboard does. The collaboration is very similar, but there's a lot more controls, better classroom management, better lesson planning. It's got templates. Jamboard's great for simple things, but if you want something more robust, absolutely check out FigJam. It is 100% free. It's one of my top picks for the upcoming school year. So you'll be hearing more about Jamboard this year, or excuse me, FigJam throughout the year. And a lot of teachers have started using it and really enjoy it. Well, thanks for hanging out with me and exploring some of the top links for August 2023. I want to once again thank VIZOR for sponsoring this episode. VIZOR is a wonderful tool for organizing your Chromebooks and all of your technology resources. One of the really cool updates that VIZOR has added this year is the ability to bundle resources together. So you can assign a Chromebook, a case, a charger, a headphone to a student, track that, and make sure that you get that back at the end of the school year. You can track breakage and repairs. And all kinds of wonderful things. So if you're managing technology, if you're a district with 500 or more Chromebooks, VIZOR is absolutely a tool you need to look into. You can get 20% off your first year of VIZOR. Just visit vizor.cloud/CBC to get access to that offer. And I think you'll be pleased with the service and features that VIZOR provides. I would encourage you to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts from, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Google Podcasts. I'm on all the places. Feel free to tweet me or X me or Zeet me. I don't know what we're calling it now. Let me know if you have any great resources you think I should feature next month, the next edition of 10 Links You Should Click. But enjoy the rest of your summer, or have a great beginning of the school year. And I'll see you back here in about a month with another episode just like this. Thanks, everybody.